As so often happens in Hollywood, people are with films and stories for a very long time, and this is no exception. So where were you in 2005, and what were you doing when you read CP's obituary and started on this 14-year journey?
Yeah, I was in my office at our bungalow at Universal Studios. I was producing for a writer-director named Gary Ross. And there it was on the milestones page in Time magazine. C.P. Ellis had died, Klan member who became union activist. And I kind of blinked and I said, well, how did that happen? So I found the book and read about it, found out about Ann Atwater, then saw a documentary, which you saw some of the clips from. And that's when it really crystallized for me, seeing them talk about each other in such fond terms, you know, all those years later. I said, okay, well, this is going to be a story.
And you had a relationship with Anne? You got to meet her? And
yeah, so I had originally had the rights for the book in 2009 as a producer, didn't really know what to do with it, let it lapse. And then after I went and produced another movie in 2013, I decided that's what I want to write and direct. So the book was still available, which was fortunate. And I got on a plane and made a beeline for Durham and called Anne and went to where she was at a nursing home. She had hurt her leg. So we sat down and had lunch, which I didn't know they call lunch dinner there too. So I was like, wait, aren't we supposed to meet at 1?
am I that way?
Yeah, but she was great. And we had a relationship for 3 years before she passed. And Bill Riddick's still alive. He's been with us on the press tour. He's been great. So yeah, it was just everybody.
Fantastic.
It was great, yeah.
Did you have to sell Anne on the idea? Was she open to it?
I think at first, the first phone call I made to her before I saw her the next day, she said, call my lawyer and his number is. And that's the first thing. So it wasn't until we met and we talked and she right away, we clicked. But that's like a charrette, you know. She didn't know me. I'm sure she's been approached before.
Yeah.
So there was a little guardedness, I think, for about 5 minutes. And then fast friends.
That's great.
I've saved all my voicemails from her, and we've all heard them. It's really emotional. So
that's
yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Matt and Dominique, what was it like to produce a film with somebody who's been a producer for 20 years?
It's the first time I've been asked that question on this press tour. Interesting question. You know, it actually makes the producer's job easier, I have to say. This film, there were a lot of challenges. There were plenty of obstacles to overcome, but when you're working with someone who gets it and can even be helpful and has strengths in areas where you're weak, and you know, it actually made it more fun, to not have to explain he wasn't a typical first-timer, put it that way.
Yeah, that's definitely true, but we definitely had a lot of spirited discussions because...
Anything you want to share with us?
Well, I mean, Robin came from producing Hunger Games. Just guess what that budget was. This budget was
just
a
little smaller.
Yeah. So in 29 days versus 90 days for Hunger Games. So I think it was a little bit of an adjustment, but
how many pages a day do I have to get?
Yeah, exactly.
And I have to do a company move 3 out of every 5 days.
Yeah. So it was a little bit of an adjustment, but I think we are very happy with the results. Yeah, we have good stories and memories right now.
Let's talk about the cast and what kind of conversations you and Robin had. Obviously, Taraji and Sam, but then, did you do local casting? And then I'd like to talk about, is it Babu? Am I saying that right?
Babu, yeah.
And what made a Brit the right choice to play Riddick?
First, I'll say that Robin and I go way back to the very beginning of both of our careers. So so as soon as he called to say he was going to direct something, I'm pretty sure I didn't even read it, and I said, "Sure." and then when it all really came together with the money, and the money was, and Robin knew this was going to be, limiting. I said, I've done so much work in the Southeast because there's so much film and television production in Georgia, but really in the entire Southeast. And so I said, one way we can save you some money is I'll do the whole top to bottom. I mean, I actually know that Southeastern talent pool really well. So And really the main thing really is, I mean, I can do it, but Robin really, I couldn't do it without Robin being willing to work quickly and decisively. So it was a very tidy process for us to sort of nail down that entire cast. And I remember the costume designer called us to say that in their entire career, they had never had every single actor closed deal memo 3 or so weeks before shooting. They were like in shock. So there's so many good actors there that people who didn't maybe get the part that they auditioned for, we said, okay, we like that person so much, let's have them play this part. So we filled in all the roles like that. And so Babu was the last piece of the puzzle because this is a longer story, but his Los Angeles manager introduced me to him via his press kit because he had just been nominated for a BAFTA award, and he had that such a warm, smiley face and those eyes, and I really thought Bill Riddick should seem, very warm, and so the challenge for Babu was to prove to everybody that he could convincingly portray an American, because he had never been asked to do that. So he worked on his accent. We Skyped a few times, and then he was the answer. And he
Denise Woods.
I mean, he came days before shooting.
This was 3 weeks before.
Denise Woods. Let's just.
Yeah, Denise Woods.
Right,
But yeah, 3 weeks before, he had never been in the country. And remember, this is the spring of 2017. So there's all new visa issues then.
Yeah.
And we had to route him through Toronto, and I think he got down a day or two before he started shooting.
Yeah.
We almost didn't get him there.
Yeah, and I thought he was great.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Yeah. Did he have a dialect coach?
Yes,
to help him?
Denise
Denise Woods.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep repeating.
Yeah, he hopscotched. He piggybacked with Taraji's dialect coach, who was already there, and she's amazing.
I know it's always a challenge to sort of articulate, put into words the creative process, but let's talk about your creative process.
Sure. Well, words are, it's interesting that you say words. There were 2 words that Robin told me very early on, and it was common humanity. And we talked, I think we even titled one of the scenes and one of the cues that. And that was the thing that really was, from the very beginning, how to capture the music that was common to all of these people without necessarily just, obviously the source is much more local and much more of the time, but the score had to capture more of their souls, really, and the idea of common humanity kept always running through my mind, of how do these characters from so far away could come together with music without resorting to stereotypes. The movie's, extremely dark at times, and but the music always kind of was threading this place of letting the audience make up their own mind, especially with CP's, and allowing Sam, what can you say about the performance? It's just incredible, and he really leads you there without you realizing you're there by the final speech. And it was always about not pushing too far and not being just that sort of the condescending type of score, which is something that both me and Robin agreed that we did not want. We didn't want to take the audience by the hand. We wanted the story to be told and the music supported. And sound-wise, I think I always had this sound of a lot of guitars and a lot of the sort of string instruments there. Robin is very fond of the piano, and we wound up kind of having that as part of the color as well. And he was, most people don't know, but Robin is a very accomplished musician, and
Wow, it's an avocation.
and it was a great experience to be able to talk at a very high level, but at the same time, Robin is so experienced and has worked with so many incredible composers, and that he was very respectful of their relationship and was able to give me notes that were more, conceptual in general, without doing the thing, change that chord there, I don't like it, or anything like that. It was much more, directing what I would say is direct me like you would direct an actor. And
What did CP and Anne teach you? What did you learn from working on this film and with shepherding this story?
I mean, when anytime you start a story like this, and you start to, as a writer too, you're trying to figure out what it's about. What you zoom out and you say, what am I trying to say here? What does it mean to me? And it started out for me as labels, how we label each other. And my first thought was, okay, I'm gonna show them very stereotypically in the first act as if that's how they saw each other. And then as the movie progressed, they would become real people to us and each other. But that, I realized pretty soon that wasn't going to work. So, but it was about labels. It was about how, I do it every day. I turn on the TV or I look at Twitter and somebody makes me angry and I don't know them. And and that's what we do. And they label each other. But it eventually became for me about, they weren't just an African-American activist and a racist. They were both powerful leaders in their community with a lot of people that would follow them to the ends of the earth. And so she made up her mind to know that if she changed him, that would have an effect, right? Because and his courage was, once he got to that point, instead of saying, not admitting that he now regretted it, and so the courage of his leadership was, you know what? Yeah, my whole life has been wrong, and I've met some people that were in his youth Klan Corps, and they changed because of him. So that, for me, it was about leadership.
Thank you for sharing it.
Thanks for having us, everybody.
Thank you.